The safe was gone. The walls of my Beverly Hills penthouse echoed like an empty cathedral. The place wasn't robbed. No broken locks, no smashed windows, no signs of forced entry. But she took it. She did, my mother. And not just any safe. This one held $10 million in bearer bonds, cash, and encrypted USB drives. But what she didn't know, what no one knew, was that the real payload wasn't money. And I wanted her to take it. My name is Ariel Blake, and I'm 29 years old. I'm a venture capitalist, a former software engineer turned Silicon Valley power player. Forbes once called me the silent serpent of tech. Not because I'm loud, quite the opposite. Because I watch. I wait. I strike where it hurts most. And nothing hurts more than betrayal served by blood. I stand in the center of the room, still barefoot, the silk robe clinging to my thigh from last night's shower. My long, dark hair drips onto the marble floor as I look at the now exposed spot where the vault once stood. It weighs over 600 pounds. It must have taken a team to move it. Or maybe she had a team all along. Why didn't she ask me about it? Why didn't she even try to hide what she was doing? Because she thought I was asleep. Because she thought I was stupid. Because she thought she won. What was she planning to do with $10 million in untraceable assets? Escape to South America? Start over with a new name? Find another rich husband to mooch off, like she always did? But does she know what was inside that safe besides money? The cold breeze from the balcony door bites into my skin. She must have left it open on purpose, taunting me, like a goodbye kiss, or a declaration of war. And still, my lips curl into a grin, because she has no idea what's coming next. 18 months ago, I'd returned to LA after nearly a decade away. The city hadn't changed much. Same poison sunsets, same air thick with vanity and ambition. But I wasn't the same. Back then, I was the daughter of Cassandra Blake, former B-movie actress turned socialite. She made a career out of marrying money and discarding men like seasonal handbags. She sold her soul for power, and somewhere along the way, she sold me too. Why would a mother do that? You'll understand soon. My return wasn't a reconciliation. It was reconnaissance. I moved in with her, pretending to be the prodigal daughter looking for healing. I wore smiles like war paint, cried on cue, listened to her talk about her lovers and lipo and latest spa addiction. All the while, I built my fortress, legally, financially, digitally, and I baited the hook. The safe was the bait. 10 million was the worm. But what would a mother do to her own daughter for $10 million? Now I know the answer. Last night, she was in the kitchen late, said she couldn't sleep. I was in the bedroom, pretending to be passed out from a migraine. She'd kiss my forehead like a doting parent. It almost made me laugh. I knew what was coming, and she played her part beautifully. She waited until 3:17 a.m. to make the move. I knew because I'd installed motion sensors inside the safe. Not just on the outside, not just on the keypad, inside. The moment she opened it, a silent alert pinged my private server. She was greedy. She took everything. She even unplugged the hidden compartment without checking what it contained. What was inside? A sealed envelope, a tiny GPS, and a file that could ruin her. Why did I let her take it all? Because revenge tastes better when your enemy thinks they've won. I walk to the fridge, pull out a bottle of spring water, and take a slow sip. My phone buzzes on the counter. I already know who it is. Asset movement confirmed. GPS active. Currently headed south. Of course she is. She always ran south when things got hot. Palm Springs? Maybe Vegas? No, she's smarter than that. She'll go to Mexico. Maybe meet with that sleazy ex of hers, Armando, who used to call me La Pequeña Puta when I was 13. She thinks she's ahead of me. Why didn't I stop her before she left? Because letting her go is the only way I can bring her down completely. And besides, she's got something else in that safe. Something she doesn't know she's carrying. Something I planted. I pick up the silk dress from the night before and slip into it. It still smells like cigar smoke and leather seats from the Tech Fund Gala. Last night, my date was Dominic Rowan, the CEO of Cryptex AI, a man known for his algorithms and his appetite for chaos. He's got hands that make promises and eyes that deliver threats. He had me pinned against the bathroom door of the Four Seasons before dessert was even served. His fingers knew where to go. His tongue knew what I liked. But I wasn't thinking about Dominic when he came inside me. I was thinking about my mother. What kind of daughter gets wet thinking about revenge? The kind who got auctioned to an old man at 14 while her mother smiled and said, "You'll learn to enjoy it, baby." Now that little girl is gone. Now I'm the one holding the leash, and it's tightening. The next text buzzes in. Arrival ping, Ensenada, Baja California. Bingo. She's headed straight into the spider's web. But here's the real question. What's in the envelope she stole? Because inside that envelope is not just a set of documents. It's a map, a confession. A confession she wrote to her first husband, my father, right before she had him disappear. I made sure she saw it once in passing. I made sure she'd remember the handwriting. What will she do when she opens it? What will she do when she realizes that everything she ran from is catching up with her? The safe was just the beginning, and I'm just getting started. She used to call herself the queen of second chances, but she never gave anyone else a first. My mother, Cassandra Blake, was the kind of woman who wore silk robes with nothing underneath and lit candles she had no intention of blowing out. She moved through the world like it owed her something. Maybe because once it did. She was born to a trailer park waitress and an alcoholic trucker in Alabama, got pregnant at 16, lost the baby, moved to LA at 17 with 2 suitcases and a pair of fake tits she swore were an investment. By 24, she'd landed her first millionaire. By 30, she'd buried 2. And somewhere between wedding number 3 and the champagne-colored Jaguar she never drove sober, she had me. Or more precisely, she acquired me. She didn't want a child. She wanted leverage. I was 5 the first time she locked me in a closet because a man was coming over. I was 7 when she told me not to call her mom in front of guests. It aged her. I was 9 when she sat me on her lap, stroked my hair, and said, "Don't be like me. Be smarter. Use them before they use you." But the worst part? I believed her. I studied hard. I learned to code in secret. I read IPO reports in the dark with a flashlight while she snorted coke with her friends in the next room. I built a prototype for an early-stage AI predictive model by 15. When other girls were dreaming about prom, I was analyzing venture capital patterns. She saw what I was doing. She didn't stop me. She sold me. What mother sells her own daughter's genius? The answer came in the form of a man named Dale Rydell, 58, hedge fund titan, obsessive, charismatic, the kind of man who would smile at you while skinning a cat just to see what kind of scream it made. He met me when I was 16. She introduced us as if I were the dessert course. He invested in me. That's what she called it. I got a scholarship to MIT, a private suite in Boston, a platinum Amex, and once a month he'd fly in and remind me who owned me. My body, my mind, my future. Everything was collateral, and she got a house in Bel Air. Why didn't I run? Because I knew. This was war. I just had to survive long enough to build my own arsenal. By 23, I was quietly buying up equity in emerging tech funds under shell companies. By 25, I owned majority stakes in 2 biotech startups and had dirt on half the investors in Palo Alto. By 26, Dale died of a heart attack in a Miami hotel. No one asked questions, not when a man like that finally stopped breathing. Not when I made sure the coroner's report said natural causes. Not when Cassandra showed up in black lace at the funeral and cried crocodile tears while checking the time on her Cartier. And me? I sat in the back, watching, calculating. She thought she was free. She thought she'd inherited everything. But Dale was never that stupid. He left it all to me. She tried to contest it. She hired lawyers, screamed in courtrooms, even leaked fake nude photos of me to the press. But the will was ironclad. The moment I turned 27, everything reverted to my control. And that's when I made the call. "Come live with me," I said. "I forgive you." She cried. Said she always knew we'd find our way back. Said blood was thicker than betrayal. I told her I bought a new penthouse in Beverly Hills, that it had enough room for both of us. She didn't hesitate. Of course she didn't. She was still playing the same game, but she didn't know the rules had changed. Why invite the woman who ruined you back into your life? Because revenge requires proximity and patience. The safe arrived 6 weeks later. I told her it was just for security, nothing special. She never asked what was inside. But every night she walked past it, eyes lingering a little longer. I began to forget to lock it properly. Sometimes I left cash envelopes in the drawer just to see if they disappeared. They always did. She thought she was so clever. I let her believe it. Meanwhile, I replaced every cosmetic item in her vanity with look-alike containers that housed mics and GPS tags. Every piece of jewelry? Bugged. Even her vibrator had a tracker. Why? Because people get sloppy when they think they're safe. And my mother was nothing if not predictable. She had her old lover back on the hook, Armando, a failed cartel money launderer turned fake real estate guru. They made plans. She didn't know I was watching, recording, tracing every wire transfer. The sex with Dominic helped. We weren't dating. He knew that. But sometimes after a long day of watching the woman who birthed me slip poison into her martini while plotting my financial ruin, I needed release. His hands were rough. His lips were bruising. He liked to choke. I liked to be reminded that I was alive. He once bent me over my desk during a Zoom call with a boardroom full of old men, muffling my moans with the crook of his elbow. Power turns me on. Control makes me wet. But nothing arouses me like the thought of Cassandra in cuffs. What kind of woman gets off on revenge? The kind who had to learn how to come without ever trusting the person touching her. The safe was only part of it. The bigger trap was digital. The USB drives were labeled like routine tax files, but one of them held a program, one I designed myself. Once plugged in, it accessed her devices, routed her IP, and scraped her entire communications history. Text messages, voicemails, cloud backups, even the deleted photos of her and Armando at that offshore bank in Malta. All of it, in my hands. In real time. Does she know? Of course not. She thinks she just stole her way into early retirement. But she doesn't know the letter she's carrying contains more than just my father's name. It contains her own confession, one she drunkenly emailed herself 6 years ago, then deleted. But nothing is ever truly deleted. Not when your daughter builds espionage tools for fun. My phone buzzes again. This time it's not GPS. It's a voice memo. From her. Baby, I know what this is. We need to talk. Please, I didn't know you'd find out like this. Call me. I press play again. She's crying. Panicked. Cornered. Good. Let her sweat. Because if she's crying now, what will she do when she learns the whole world's about to hear it too? The voice memo replays in my head as I drive up Mulholland Drive, the sunset leaking fire through the tinted windows. Please, I didn't know you'd find out like this. Oh, Cassandra, you didn't find out. You fell in. I pull into Dominic's driveway without cutting the engine. His house, gated, sleek, perched like a vulture's nest above the city, feels like neutral ground. Somewhere I can think. Somewhere I can be touched without feeling touched. Somewhere the sex drowns out the memories I haven't buried deep enough yet. I text him 2 words. Upstairs, naked. 15 seconds later, I hear the chime of the front door unlocking. Dominic's body is a machine, all sharp lines and taut muscle, like he was engineered for one purpose, to break women and make them like it. His jaw flexes when he sees me. You look like you want to kill someone, he says. I drop my purse. I already did, I reply, and push him against the wall. My fingers rake through his hair. His mouth crashes into mine. I bite his lip until he hisses. He spins me around, tears down the zipper of my dress, and slams my wrists against the window. Downtown LA sprawls beneath us. He hikes my leg up, breath hot against my ear. You're shaking, he growls. I'm not scared, I whisper. Then what is it? I close my eyes. Adrenaline. And that's true. But it's also rage and release and something deeper I won't name. Afterward, he lights a joint and stares at me from the bed. You gonna tell me what's going on? He asks. I pull the sheet over my chest, watching the smoke curl toward the ceiling. My mother stole $10 million from me, I say. But that's not the part that matters. He raises an eyebrow. Then what does? She took it because I wanted her to, and now she's heading into a trap she doesn't even know I built. I toss him my burner phone. Open the newest video. He does. It's grainy, low res, security cam footage. A woman in a red dress, long blonde wig, big sunglasses, walks into an unlicensed crypto kiosk in Ensenada. She hands over a flash drive. The machine reads it, then flashes red. A second later, 2 men in plain clothes step in. Dominic's eyes widen. She's being watched? She's being set up, I smirk. She thinks she's laundering the money. But the second she finishes the transfer, that flash drive uploads every single file to a secure server. Whose server? Mine. Dominic whistles. Jesus, Ari, that's cold. I turned to him. No, she's cold. I was 11 when she told me to suck it up after her boyfriend grabbed my ass. She said, "You should be flattered he even noticed you." He goes quiet. Why didn't I tell him everything? Because some traumas become power when you carry them alone. But I let the silence speak for me. He sits up, leans forward, and kisses my shoulder. You're gonna burn her to the ground, aren't you? No, I say softly. I'm going to make her beg for the match. A week ago, I delivered the final piece of the puzzle. An anonymous envelope dropped by courier to an old postbox she still checks when she thinks no one's watching. Inside, a photo, not of her, not of me, but of a baby, a girl, wrapped in a hospital blanket. No name, no label, just a timestamp. June 11, 1994. Me. She's always told people she adopted me at 6, but that photo proves otherwise. Why did she lie? Because if people knew she gave birth to me at 16, they'd do the math and realize the man she married at 18 was also my father. And that means he was fucking her before she was legal, and he paid her to have me. That photo was a knife. I wanted her to cut herself on it. She did. The moment she opened that envelope, she sent Armando a message. We need to talk, she knows. That message went through a burner I gave her as a gift, laced with spyware, GPS, key logging, the whole arsenal. Within hours, I had the name of the offshore vault. Bellaria Private Banking, Geneva. The same place my father used to launder campaign money back in the 90s. The same place Cassandra siphoned $5 million from her third husband before he accidentally overdosed. The same place she thinks she's about to disappear to. What happens when she gets there? Let's just say, Switzerland isn't the neutral ground she thinks it is. Not when I've already been there. Not when the receptionist she'll meet is wearing a Cartier bracelet I bought. Back in LA, I prepare the drop. A USB drive in a velvet box, engraved with her initials. I give it to a waiter at the Ritz-Carlton, the one place she still thinks is too classy for a trap. Inside the USB, a single video, just 5 minutes long. It shows her, drunk, screaming at my father's old lawyer, accusing him of keeping money from her, saying she'd bury him like the last bastard who stood in her way. She didn't know I was recording, but the video is dated, time-stamped, synchronized with a disappearance that never made the news, but still haunts the legal community in D.C. Why would a woman confess to murder on camera? Because she thought she was the smartest person in the room. She forgot she raised me. I lie back in bed and check the dashboard. Ping, ping, ping. She's moving again. Driving to the airport, private jet already filed under a fake name. Dominic slides his hand under the sheet again. You want me to distract you? I close my eyes. His fingers find me, slow and confident, but my mind is on her, not him, because by this time tomorrow, the safe won't be the only thing missing. She will be. And when she opens that final file, what will she see? The truth, and the beginning of the end. Because revenge isn't about pain, it's about precision, and every piece is falling perfectly into place. At 2:40 a.m., the alert hits my screen. Device accessed Bellaria SafeLock 9172. She did it. She opened the vault. My breath stills in my chest. Like even my body knows this moment matters more than oxygen. I watch the data trickle in. Every keystroke, every biometric scan she triggers, every failed password attempt, it's all flowing back to me, like she's working for me without knowing it. Because inside that vault wasn't just stolen cash. It was a copy of her entire past, burnt onto 3 separate drives, coded under names only I would recognize. Cinnamon, Jet Black, and Mandrake. Why those names? Because those were the safe words she gave her clients. Men who paid for more than sex. Men who paid for silence. Men whose reputations would detonate if those videos ever saw daylight. And guess what? They're going to. Why would I expose men who hurt me too? Because none of them mattered more than the final target. Her. She thinks she's safe in Geneva. She thinks her old contact, Yves Laurent, ironic name, right, still works for her. She doesn't know he now works for me. She doesn't know I bought out his debt to a Serbian arms dealer 3 months ago. She doesn't know he calls me Mistress Blake now. So when she walks into that white marble lobby in her fur-trimmed coat and oversized Dior sunglasses, flashing that hollow smile of hers, Eve gives her the VIP treatment, takes her upstairs, offers her champagne. and watches silently as she enters the vault. She thinks she's reclaiming control. But the moment she opens Drive Mandrake, she triggers the second phase, a silent upload. Every image, every signature, every offshore shell company routed through Belize, the Caymans, Dubai, all of it auto-forwards to 3 locations. 1. A private investigator in Miami working a class action against sex trafficking fronts. 2. A Department of Justice agent I've been feeding breadcrumbs for 9 months. 3. A journalist at The Atlantic with a Pulitzer fetish and a vendetta against dynastic money. Why now? Because when she falls, she'll bring half the filth of LA and DC down with her. And I want a front row seat. The phone buzzes again. A new notification. Her face now trending, Cassandra collapse. I tap it open. A video. Low quality, shaky, taken by someone in the Bellaria lobby. My mother, Cassandra Blake, being escorted out by 2 men in suits. She's screaming. Not words, just panic. Rage. The sound a dying queen makes when the crown's ripped from her scalp. Is it cruel that I'm wet watching this? Maybe, but after years of being touched without permission, stripped without consent, whispered about like I was merchandise, I'll take this arousal as payment. Besides, Dominic's hands are already under the sheets again, he grins. Is that her? I nod. Turn the volume up. He obeys, and for a moment we both sit in silence, listening to the sound of Cassandra being dragged out of her last illusion. But she isn't done yet. She never goes down quiet. I know this. So I prepared a fail-safe. The letter, the one I mentioned before, the one she wrote to my father, before she killed him. It wasn't just a confession. It was a plea, a manipulation. She wanted him to forgive her for the affair, for hiding that I was his biological daughter, for telling people I was adopted. She knew the walls were closing in. That's why she wrote it. And then she buried it in a lockbox at a bank in San Diego under a fake name. But the thing about lockboxes? You can open them if you have the right thumbprint. Guess who has the same print pattern on the right index as Cassandra? Her daughter. So I opened it, read every line, cried once, then scanned it, encrypted it, and mailed the original, just last week, to one person. Me. The version she took from the safe? A fake. But it looks real, and it's laced with code. A QR in the bottom margin, barely visible, leads to a website with one file, a video. Just me, staring into the camera. No makeup, no filters, no fury, just truth. Hi, Cassandra. I know you're watching this somewhere expensive, probably alone, probably thinking you can still claw your way out of this. But I want you to know something. Really know it. You taught me how to lie. You taught me how to seduce. You taught me how to survive. But you never taught me how to forgive. And that was your mistake. Dominic laughs when he sees it. You're a fucking goddess, I smirk. No, I'm just the monster she made. Why didn't I release the video to the public yet? Because timing is everything. First comes isolation, then comes desperation, then comes the final crack, the point where even a woman like Cassandra will do anything to crawl back into the light. And I want that moment. I want her to beg, to call me, to try one last time to manipulate me. And I want to say no. Later that night, I get a call. Not from her, from Armando. He sounds sweaty, nervous. Where is she? He pants. You mean Cassandra? Don't play games, Puda. You did this. I yawn. Did what exactly? She's gone. She didn't show at the meet. She's not answering any numbers. And Interpol just froze my fucking accounts. I sip my tea slowly. Maybe she finally got tired of lying. You little, I hang up. Is he scared? Good. He should be, because the next file going public is his. I log into my system, check the final trigger. It's all set. The moment Cassandra tries to access her emergency Bitcoin wallet, a string of transactions she thinks are hidden under a pseudonym, I'll know. And when she does, that's when I release everything. The videos, the voice notes, the letter, the list of names. Because she once taught me how to be a whore. Now I'll teach the world what she really was. But what happens when the whole world sees what she's done? That's not my problem. I'm not her daughter anymore. I'm her reckoning. The Bitcoin transfer happens at 4:03 a.m., a full hour earlier than I expected. I stare at the screen as the transaction hash lights up in green. Transfer detected, Cass Vault's Widow Zerpent. God, even her alias drips with melodrama. But it means she's alive. She made it out of Geneva somehow. Maybe bribed her way through, maybe threatened the right people, maybe Yves let her go out of pity or fear. But it doesn't matter. Because she just confirmed her location and her desperation. She's in Dubai, of course. No extradition, no questions, no soul. It's her natural habitat. Why would she run there instead of hiding deeper? Because she still thinks this is a game she can win, that she can buy her way out. Or worse, that I'll still forgive her. I give it 12 hours. Just long enough for her to get settled into whatever luxury penthouse she's rented under a name that sounds French and fake. Something like Marie de Chandon. She'll strip off her wig, scrub her face raw, stand in the mirror and rehearse her next role. She always was a good actress. Just never good enough to fool me. Not anymore. I wait until 14 p.m. PST, and then I press publish. The site goes live in less than 30 seconds, CassandraRevealed.com. On the homepage, her face. Younger. Flawless. Back when she still looked like someone you might trust with a child. The headline? The Queenmaker, Cassandra Blake and the Price of Selling Daughters. Below that, videos, emails, tax records, audio clips of her whispering deals to billionaires while I cried myself to sleep upstairs. Even a scanned copy of the hospital certificate, confirming she birthed me at 16, not 23. Then, the final nail. The confession, subtitled, synced, backed by metadata and third-party authentication, undeniable, unforgivable. Why didn't I just send her to prison quietly? Because monsters deserve the spotlight, so the world can watch them burn. Within minutes, the site crashes from traffic. By hour 3, it's trending across Twitter, Reddit, TikTok. Cassandra collapse, Queenmaker exposed, sold her daughter. Celebrities she used to lunch with are frantically unfollowing her. 2 of her ex-husbands issue press statements denying knowledge. The third, now a U.S. senator, goes on sabbatical. I smile. Dominic brings me champagne. Want a toast? I shake my head. This isn't the end yet. He raises a brow. No? No. She still thinks there's a door left open. At midnight, she calls. I don't answer the first time. Or the second. I want her to sweat. Finally, on the third ring, I let it connect. Her voice is dry, like ash. Ariel, yes, mother? I read it all. I wait. Nothing. She's hoping I'll break the silence. I don't. She swallows hard. I didn't know it would come to this. I didn't know how much you hated me. You're wrong. About what? I don't hate you. I lean in closer to the phone, whispering like a lover might. I studied you. She breathes in sharply, then shifts. The tears vanish. Now she's bargaining. Ariel, I can fix this. I can sell off everything. Move the money back to you. I know where the rest of Dale's assets are. Untraceable. Yours. Still she doesn't get it. It was never about the money, I say. She tries again, softer this time. Then what do you want, baby? I almost laugh. You, alone, powerless, naked in front of the world you lied to. She goes quiet. Then, you really think you're better than me, don't you? No, I know I am. She hangs up. It's the last time I'll ever hear her voice, because less than 72 hours later, she vanishes. No footage, no confirmed sightings, just a drained hotel sink, a shattered champagne glass, and a smudge of lipstick on the mirror beside the words, "You were always mine first." The media speculates suicide. Interpol says ongoing investigation. Dominic asks me, you think she's really dead? I smile. She'll wish she was. Because now I control the narrative. I sell the story rights to HBO under a pseudonym, hire a ghostwriter for the memoir, take calls from nonprofits begging for my partnership on anti-trafficking initiatives. Suddenly, I'm a survivor, a hero, the daughter who fought back. They don't know what I really am, and I don't correct them because their applause is louder than their questions. And all I've ever needed was the stage. Still, some nights I wake up sweating. I hear her voice in my dreams. Not screaming, not begging, but humming, softly, like she did when she used to brush my hair before those parties where she'd parade me around like a prize. And in those moments, I wonder, is she still out there? Watching? Waiting? But then I remind myself, if she is, she's no longer the queen. 3 weeks pass, then a month, no sign of her, not a single digital trail, no alias transactions, no fake passports used, no new SIM cards lighting up. It's like she's been erased from the planet. But that's not how Cassandra Blake operates. She doesn't vanish. She lurks, she's ready, she strikes. Which is why I keep my defenses up, tight as ever. Security systems triple encrypted, home under an LLC, private detail, unbranded. Even Dominic doesn't know the code to the west wing of my penthouse. And yet, something's off. It starts with a scent. The perfume, her perfume, Dior Hypnotic Poison. Old school, heavy, sultry, the kind of fragrance that announces a woman 5 seconds before she enters a room and 5 minutes after she leaves. But no one else wears that anymore. So when I catch the ghost of it in the elevator, something inside me goes cold. How could she have gotten this close? 2 days later, a letter arrives. No return address, handwritten, expensive paper, my name scrawled in thick black ink. Inside, you think this is your story now, but darling, I taught you every move. Love always, see. I stare at it for a long time. My blood doesn't run cold, it boils. I rip it in half, then burn it. Then drive 3 hours out into the desert to toss the ashes off a cliff. Why? Because I need to be seen destroying it. And I need her to see that I saw it. I'm not scared. But I am ready, because she just started the final round, and I've been waiting for this moment since I was old enough to fake a smile through a man's zipper. Back in LA, I move fast, lock down all IPs, rotate every keycard, call Dominic. Hey, he says, you okay? Pack a bag, I tell him. You're coming with me. He doesn't ask where. He never does. But halfway into the drive up the coast, he reaches over, slides his hand onto my thigh, and says softly, is it her? I nod. Does she want to hurt you or get you back? I laugh bitterly. With Cassandra, those are the same thing. We settle in a remote villa near Big Sur, nothing but pine trees, fog, and silence. For 3 days, nothing happens. Until the doorbell rings. A package. Wrapped in red ribbon. No note. Inside, a single USB drive. I plug it into a burner laptop. No wireless, no microphones. One video file. I hit play. It's grainy, like it was shot with a motel camera. Cassandra? Sitting on a bed, nude. Legs crossed. She looks older, gaunter, but still magnetic. Always magnetic. She smiles. Hi, sweetheart. I freeze. Dominic watches from behind me, silent. The video continues. I thought maybe you'd enjoy one last performance. Just us. No masks. She uncrosses her legs slowly, deliberately. Her voice drops. Isn't this what you wanted? All of me, finally raw? No edits, no makeup, no power? Then she tilts her head and whispers, or maybe you're scared now, because without me, who will you be? The screen fades to black. One last line. I gave you your power. Let's see if you know how to live without me. I don't cry. I don't rage. I don't even flinch. I just close the laptop. And fuck Dominic until I forget my own name. His hands grip my throat the way I taught him. His mouth devours me like he's trying to eat the past out of me. But no matter how rough, how deep, how raw, I still see her face behind my eyes. Is it possible she's right? Without her, who am I? The next morning, I make my decision. I dress in black, tight, slick, unapologetic, and I fly to Paris because the last clue, one only I would have caught, was in the background of that video. A painting, a very specific one, L'Homme Lemoine, a rare piece, sold 3 months ago to a private collector in Montmartre. Guess whose shell company signed the purchase? Vida Noir Limited. An old alias she used when we were hiding from her second husband. I traced the address. A penthouse above a bookstore. No security, no cameras, just one reinforced door. I knock. I no answer. I knock again, and then she opens it. We stare at each other, 2 versions of the same blueprint. She's in silk again, always silk. Her robe slips open at the collar, revealing a little too much. She doesn't bother covering it. Baby, she breathes. I'm not your baby. She steps aside, inviting me in, and I walk straight into the lair. Inside, it's pure Cassandra. Mirrors, wine, cigarettes, and a Baccarat ashtray. The windows are shut. The air smells like Chanel and regret. Nice setup, I say. I thought I might retire here. From what? She laughs. From being hunted by my own daughter. I fold my arms. Give me one reason not to end this right now. She smiles. Because you're not finished yet. Excuse me, you don't want me dead, Ariel. You want me alive. Broken, powerless, chained. But you want to be the one holding the key. I clench my jaw, because she's not wrong. Am I really that cruel? Or did she just make me this way? She sits on the couch, legs crossed, breasts half exposed, never flinching. I'm ready, she says softly. For what? For the camera, for the confession, for whatever spectacle you've planned. Go ahead, make me into your villain. I stare at her. No tears, no shame, and suddenly, it's not satisfying. Not enough, not even close. She reads it in my eyes, and she smiles. See, she whispers, you don't win by destroying me. You only win when you become me. I walk out. No revenge, no recording, no bullets, no blood, just silence, and the knowledge that the war is over. But no one really won, especially not me. What kind of daughter builds a kingdom of vengeance and forgets how to love herself? Maybe the answer is this: the kind who was never given a choice. The plane ride back from Paris is quiet. Dominic meets me at the terminal. No words, no questions, just takes my bag and slides his arm around my waist like I'm fragile, like I haven't spent the last 5 years turning into a weapon. I let him, not because I need comfort, but because I need something, anything, that doesn't feel like her. Back in LA, the world keeps spinning. The website stays live. The scandals keep churning. 2 more politicians step down. An entertainment lawyer is indicted. A tech CEO files for early retirement and vanishes to somewhere off-grid. Every time I open the news, it's a new name, a new headline that screams, Cassandra's empire is bleeding out. And everyone wants to know, where is she? I don't tell them I've seen her, that I stood inches away from her in a silk robe, watching her offer herself to me like some twisted gift. Because that moment isn't for them. It's for me. For the little girl who once slept in closets and called it camping. I donate $5 million to a trauma recovery center under a fake name. The press finds out anyway. Suddenly, I'm a philanthropist, an inspiration, a face for healing. And I play the part perfectly. Pearls, tailored suits, press-ready smiles. But inside, I'm hollow. The war's over. I won. So why do I feel like I've lost something I can't name? Was she right? Am I only powerful when she's watching? I try to forget her. I try to fill the void. More interviews, more power plays, more men. Dominic is still here, still loyal, still dangerous enough to keep around, but he doesn't ask for more. He knows better. The last time he did, I whispered in his ear, mid-orgasm, "You'll never own me." He liked that. We fucked harder after that. But even when I come now, even when the room spins and my breath catches and his tongue does everything just right, it's not enough. Because the face I see in the mirror after is still hers. Then one morning, the final envelope arrives. Same black ink, same expensive stationery, no return address. I know the handwriting before I even open it. Inside, you win. You always would have. But here's the real gift. Now you know how I felt when I looked at you and saw everything I could never be. See, no threats, no secrets, just truth. And for the first time in years, I feel something in my chest twist. Not rage, not victory, something quieter. Is this forgiveness? Is this mourning? I don't know. I don't know if I care, but I don't burn this one. I lock it away. 6 months later, I walk into the Everlight Center for Survivors in Oregon. Not as Ariel Blake, Silicon Valley's ice queen, not as the girl who exposed a high society sex ring, but as someone rebuilding. I give a talk. I tell them the story, not the viral version, not the courtroom drama, the real one, the closet, the bargains, the price of survival. At the end, a girl, maybe 19, comes up to me, eyes wide and red-rimmed. "You're the reason I didn't go back to him," she says. And for the first time in my entire life, I feel clean. Weeks pass. The headlines fade. The world moves on. And me? I open a fund for women-run tech startups. I invest quietly. I build quietly. I love, slowly. Sometimes I still see her in a stranger's laugh or the sway of someone's hips in a red dress. And sometimes I wonder, is she really dead? Did she vanish? Or is she just waiting? But those are questions I've stopped needing answers to. Because no matter where she is, she's already given me everything she had. The poison, the power, the rage, and somehow, against every law of logic and blood, I turned it into purpose. Final press quote. When The Atlantic does a retrospective a year later, they ask, if you could say one thing to Cassandra now, what would it be? I think for a moment, then smile. Thank you for leaving the safe, I say. It was never about the money. They laugh. They move on. But you and I? We know the truth. The safe held her secrets, her fears, her undoing, and my future. And when she took it, she handed me the key. Moral of the story? Sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who teach you exactly how to destroy them. But real power is choosing not to. Not because they deserve mercy, but because you deserve peace. So tudo por mine.